Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we are making a recipe for tomorrow. We're getting this started tonight. It's going to sit in the refrigerator and cook it in the morning. But we are going to be making White's sugared morning buns from the second Outlander Kitchen cookbook from Teresa Carle-Sanders. And we're going to get the dough started tonight, but it takes a little bit of time, so we're going to do this. I don't need this part right this minute, but I will soon. I have some yeast in my bowl for my stand mixer, and I'm going to add, I've measured out all of the all-purpose flour that we need, but we're only going to put some of it in here now. And then we're going to add this milk that is lukewarm, whole milk. For us, it's whole-ish. I make that using a combination of 2% and half and half. Just eyeball it because it's fine. And we are going to stir these together. I'm just going to use a fork because that's what I grabbed. Stir this until well combined. It'll be lumpy and bumpy and I don't really care. And now I'm going to cover this with just a towel. We do have some flies in here already. And we're going to let this sit for 30 minutes. My yeast mixture has been sitting here for 30 minutes, and she says that the sponge should be bubbling, which I can certainly tell it is, and falls when the bowl is tapped on the counter. So it did. So we're ready to continue with the recipe, and we're going to put this on our stand mixer with the paddle attachment. We are going to use the hook attachment, just not right now. The first thing we're going to add is some eggs, which I just put into the same container I had the milk in and beat up a little bit with the same fork that I used to mix up the yeast. And that should be fine. We're supposed to mix this at medium speed for about 3 minutes until it's smooth. I think that's done enough. She doesn't say to scrape it, so I'm not going to worry about it. But we do need to add some stuff to the rest of our flour. This is just granulated sugar. And some kosher salt. So I'm just going to sort of mix that up with my measuring cup here that I had available to me. And we're going to add this to here and mix it on low speed just until it's well combined. There we go. So low speed, she says 2 to 3 minutes. It didn't take quite 3 minutes, I don't think, for the first one, but I think that's been about a minute. I'm going to call that well combined, and I'm going to just take it off of this paddle hook with my hands because those are eminently washable. And we are going to be using the dough hook next. So I don't need this to sit in there. It's very sticky at this point, just to, you know, FYI. And now we have to let this sit for 10 minutes. So I'm going to get as much off my hands as I can, and I'm going to put this back over it and set a timer for 10 minutes. All right, this has been sitting for 10 minutes-ish. Now we're going to put the dough hook on. And I have some softened butter here, and it's been diced up. I had to sort of speed soften it, so there might be a little extra water, but it's fine. We're going to put about 1/3 of it in at a time, and we're going to, at about medium speed, we're going to mix this together. All right, so this is pretty well incorporated, so we're going to put another 1/3-ish in here and mix again. All right, I'm going to call that good for that addition, and now we're going to put the rest in. You cannot have this butter. All right, I'm going to call this good for this addition, but now we still have to let it go for another 3 minutes, just to make sure it's all mixed, and to knead it, I guess. All right, so I think this is done, and I'm going to scrape down the dough hook. This is a very soft, sticky dough. So that's kind of interesting. It's a brioche dough, so it's been enriched with eggs and butter. So it's going to be very rich. But that is it for the dough, but we're not just sticking this in the refrigerator, sadly. Let's have a large baking tray and a piece of parchment, which approximately fits. And we're supposed to form it into a thick rectangle on here, about 8 by 10. So that means we don't have to completely cover this, which is good. Probably should have put a little butter on the bottom to keep it from sliding around, but I did not, and it is too late. Form it. I guess using my hands. It's not as sticky as it was because that butter is all through it. Okay, so this is good for tonight. I do need to brush it with some vegetable oil, so let me take care of that. All right, so I'm going to brush it with just a little bit of oil. I think this is mostly so the plastic wrap doesn't stick. Probably need maybe a little bit more oil. I'm using, I'm not going to worry about it. I think that's enough. I'm using grapeseed oil, just a neutral flavored vegetable oil. You probably don't want olive oil for this. All right, so I'm just going to top it directly with this plastic wrap. Yeah, it'll come up. And then this goes in the refrigerator at least 4 hours or overnight, which is what we're going to do. So we'll see you in the morning. Despite me wearing the same clothes, it is the next morning. They were clean last night when I put them on. So our dough has been resting in the refrigerator overnight, and now we're going to make the filling. So So I have some softened butter in here. This is unsalted. She doesn't say salted or unsalted. Use what you like. We're going to add some dark brown sugar. There we go. We have some honey. I'm just going to use this to kind of scrape that off and get it all out. Since we're going to use this anyway, the bowl to my stand mixer didn't get washed last night, and it's fine. So I decided I'm just going to use my hand mixer, which is fine for this step. We also have, let's see, cinnamon, which I believe, yes, this one. No, this one. I like Penzeys cinnamon, but you know, use what you like. This is, since cinnamon will be a pretty big flavor in this, definitely use your favorite. I have some vanilla, some Mexican vanilla, because that's my favorite, but I'm almost out. Here we go. I do have some vanilla that I started making for myself that is probably usable now or soon, but not my Mexican vanilla. That one is taking longer to infuse than the others. So now we're just going to cream this together using this until it's just all mixed. You probably won't see this step because it's going to be very loud. All right, that butter, in case you didn't notice, does need to be very soft. And you want to combine it really, really well, so it's not all separate, and you want it all to be combined because you're going to spread it and it needs to be spreadable. So there we go. Just giving it a bit of a stir to get anything that got on the bottom, didn't get mixed in well. And I'm going to stick this in the microwave where there are no flies. She says to cover it and set aside on the counter. You don't need to put this in the fridge. You want it to be spreadable. Be right back. You can see my dough is pretty stiff because there's a lot of butter in it and it was in the refrigerator. So we're going to leave this on the parchment paper, and I'm going to leave the plastic wrap on it, but we need to make this a little bit larger. And you can see mine rose a bit more in the center, so it wasn't probably super even. I did measure this. There it is. And we need to go a couple inches more this way and about an inch maybe more this way. So we're looking for 10 by 14 inch rectangle. That was actually much easier to do than I expected, honestly. Put this away. And it's not even dirty because I left the plastic on. Okay, so now we take the plastic off. And I might need that for covering up the end result while it rises. So we're supposed to leave a 1/2 inch border along one of the long edges. But other than that, we just spread all of this onto the dough. Seems like it'll be plenty. And I think I'm going to leave my 1/2 inch on that long edge. Try to get it all the way to the middle here, because I think that's going to be my outside edge, I think. And that's the more even straight edge. this is supposed to be chopped white baking chocolate. I'm just using white chocolate chips. Going to scatter these evenly. Now, starting with the opposite long edge, so I think the opposite of the one that we decided to not put stuff up against. Roll the dough into a tight log, pinching to seal the seams. All right, I'm using my paper. Oh no. That'll be fine. It'll be fine. Super soft dough. Maybe shouldn't have taken it out. I took it out not long before we started filming, but maybe shouldn't have taken it out early at all because it gets super soft and sticky. Anyway, there we go. We have our log, and we need to first trim about 1/2 inch off of each side to neaten the edges. Kind of feel like I might need to put this back in the refrigerator briefly, but because it is just so soft. I think I'm going to do that. Maybe the freezer? It's just so soft. It's not cutting very well. Let me try something else. So yes, we have to cut this into 12 pieces. Honestly, I just want to get this over with, so it is what it is. It is not cutting well at all. I don't know what the best way is here. So we cut it into quarters, and then each one of these gets into 3 pieces. This is kind of awful. Right. I'm going to get my pan ready. So she says to brush a muffin tin with butter. I'm just going to use my hands and get those, get it just well coated with butter. So we're supposed to put these in, swirl side up. That is going to be super difficult, but okay. Some of these are going to be, seem like they're going to be super huge. They seem like they're going to be, most of them are going to be way too big because these still have to rise. Since they are such a fail anyway, the ones that are kind of small, I might just tuck some of this stuff in there. Why not? Anyway, I'm going to cover these with plastic and let them rise on the counter for an hour or 2 until it's almost doubled in size, and we'll come back when we think they're ready to bake and show you what we do then. Sure, yeah, that's what we're going to do. So yeah, we'll see you in an hour or 2. I don't think they're going to be beautiful, but I'm sure they will be delicious. We're also going to cover these with the plastic that I took off from the dough. So see you in an hour-ish. I'll let you know how long it is when we think it's ready. These have been sitting here for, well, not here, but on the counter for an hour, and I think that we're going to go ahead and bake them because I think if they got much bigger, they would overflow the pan even more, especially like over here. So I'm going to bake them on this tray just in case. My oven is at 375. They actually look a little better than I expected right now, so we'll see if that works out. We're supposed to bake these for 25 to 30 minutes until they are golden. So we'll show you what they look like when they're done, and then there's one more step after that that we have to do, and we'll tell you about that when we take these out of the oven. These cook for 25 minutes and they're pretty brown on top, so took them out. Now we have some butter and some honey in here. This is salted butter because that's what I had out. And my honey was a little crystallized, but that's okay because we're about to melt this. Okay, that took a couple minutes at medium heat just because I was trying to get all of my crystallized honey to melt. And now we're going to brush these generously with the honey butter. And I'm very glad that I put my buns, my muffin tin on top of another baking tray because, whew, it's going to be awful. I also should have buttered the entire baking tray, not just the cups, because they are over the entire thing. We're going to see in about 20 minutes if they come out well, because we're supposed to let these cool in the pan for 20 minutes and then remove it and finish cooling on a rack. So I guess we will see. I am not going to film that part because we're going to go ahead and eat our brunch here, but I'll let you know how it goes. The last step is to sprinkle it with some coarse sugar. I've got this turbinado sugar because that's what I happen to have. I think I have some demerara sugar too in there, but this is what stood out. So that looks good to me. I'm gonna let these cool for 20 minutes and then we're gonna taste them and try to take them out of the muffin tin, which I'm not too happy about. So we'll let you know what they taste like and show you what they look like in just a minute. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make White's Sugared Morning Buns from Teresa Carle-Sanders' second Outlander Kitchen cookbook. And mine were not nearly as pretty as the ones in the book, but not too bad. They're prettier than I thought they were going to be when we first put them in the muffin tins. I will say, and I took a picture of this, but a lot of the white chocolate chips kind of fell out into the bottom of the muffin tin. And that's where I think a chopped white chocolate probably wouldn't have done that as much because the pieces would probably be smaller and not as heavy and probably wouldn't fall down. Also, some of the butter and sugar mixture fell down. Not too bad. I'm really happy that I decided to bake it on another tray because there was a lot of spillage. And they did bake for 25 minutes. I thought the ones in the middle that were not quite as brown might not be fully done, but they were soft, they were airy, they were cooked well. They're not too sweet. Despite, you know, sugar and honey and the extra honey glaze and the sugar, the crystallized sugar on top, which was a great addition, a nice crunch there. They weren't too sweet, so I liked that. I don't like things that are like, feel like they're hurting your teeth because they're too sweet. They're a little difficult. Tips, I would definitely try to keep that dough as cold as possible before you cut it. In fact, maybe after you roll it up into its nice tight swirl, putting it in the refrigerator probably would have been a good idea before I cut it for probably another hour or two. Once you do have them cut and into the muffin tin and let it rise in the muffin tin, you can do that part in the refrigerator. She says you can let it go for 12 to 24 hours for the second rise in the refrigerator. We just did it for an hour at room temperature. It is really hot outside, so we're at our summer room temperature, which is a little warmer than our winter room temperature. And so that was, hour was perfectly fine. But it was really good. I enjoyed them. 10 out of 10 from my video editor, and the kids gave it a little bit less, but they still really enjoyed it. We're going to put these, I'm going to put these in the refrigerator because there's no way we can eat these within the next day. Which she says, you can store them in a bag, a plastic zip top bag for a day, and then warm them gently in the oven. Honestly, we'll probably just warm them gently in the microwave, just one, when we're going to eat it, because we have 2/3 of the batch here. So there are 4 of us. We ate 4. We have 8 left, so we'll probably eat them piecemeal throughout the next week or so. But they will keep fine in the refrigerator. They won't be quite as good as they were, and if I do want to make them extra nice, I can warm them in the oven, but I probably won't because that's just how it goes here. Anyway, if you've enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, let me know if you've made this in the comments down below, and come back and watch me make something else next week.